Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pop Go the Writers. This is our 19th episode, and we are welcoming back Andrew Gaughen.
No, thank you so much, Dan. Good to see you, Paul.
We have had Andrew here for both WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Andrew can be seen at Action Figure Times. Well, he can be seen here, but actionfiguretimes.com. or aftimes.com. On Twitter, he is Randy of AF Times. Why are you Randy?
Because I first started doing Randy of Action Figure Times in 1994. So trying to have that and do the, I'm afraid of people knowing who I really am, which shows you how long ago he's doing this. Now it's like plaster my name over everything.
If you weren't a public figure back then, they were like, don't let anyone know who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's around the same time I actually, got the danwickline.com website, started using it everywhere. It's like, I wasn't good at that at all.
Yeah. Well, but that's different because you were setting yourself up as a public figure in that. But like on AOL, they're like, disguise yourself, which is how I ended up Question 64 on AOL.
Speaking of which, Question 64. How you doing tonight, Paul?
I'm doing okay. I feel silly for complaining because I know you just got out of a bout, or you're dealing with a bout of pneumonia. I apparently broke my toe the other day.
Oof.
That counts.
Kick something with bare feet. That I forgot I had set on the floor. And so now I'm like, it's just bruised. And a couple of people are like, well, does the toe look like this? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, that's probably broken. I'm like, oh, well, there's nothing to be done about it. So, if I wince or something, it's probably just me being my usual whiny self. But that'll be my excuse for tonight.
Well, in the don't have any room to complain category, I had about a week that I could play up the whole, I have pneumonia. And then my, I'm going to refer to her as my pandemic girlfriend. She's my ex-girlfriend, but I've been hanging out with and doing a bunch of stuff with during the pandemic. Because you can't really date anybody new.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
as I found.
Yeah. So we've been hanging out and doing a bunch of stuff. Well, she was in a head-on car crash that totaled her car, broke her hand. Left her bruised and in bad shape, and killed two people in the other car. So it was pretty much, you win. That you topped me right there.
Yeah.
So I've been
a little congestion.
Yeah.
I think I need to leave this broadcast. You guys are bad luck. I'm just going to go. Okay.
Yeah. So I shifted from. Yeah, I shifted from going to take things slow, take care of myself, to I got to go up to Victorville and take care of my friend.
Jeez.
So when can I expect you to arrive in Michigan to take care of my poor toe?
I'm going to send Andrew. He's closer.
Walk it off. Walk it off, Paul.
Actually, I made that mistake, by the way. I started taping it, and then I had to run an errand nearby and forgot to tape it. And by the time I got back, I was just shuffling and limping and go like,
I believe the term for that is shambling at that point.
Shambling. That's a very good word.
Yes,
and it's like, note to self, if you're going to be on it, tape it to the next toe over. It's the only way to do anything with it. But fun.
All right. So personal issues aside, we should probably talk about what everybody's here for. The greatest show on television right now, Crime Scene Kitchen on Fox. Seriously, have you guys watched this show?
No, I have not.
It's on Fox.
Okay. Well, I don't watch it on Fox. I watch it on Hulu. Mm-hmm. It is the most ridiculous and awesome thing.
Is that the one with Paul McHale?
Yes.
Okay.
Who is very funny anyway. But they bring these bakers in pairs, and they send them into a kitchen, and they have to look at the mess after someone bakes something, and they have to figure out what was baked.
Wow. Okay.
And then they have to go make it. So if they don't get it right, they could make this beautiful cake or whatever it is they're making and still lose
Right.
because they guessed the wrong thing.
You want to know what was baked? The producers, all the producers who created this show. That's
The only thing that could be better, for at least for me, because I don't do a lot of baking, so I'm guessing on this stuff, but if it was actual chefs, and I'd love to see them do the show like Celeb, where they bring in guys like Gordon Ramsay and stuff like that, but not as host, actually make them go into a kitchen and figure out what somebody made and then try to make. I think that would be brilliant TV.
But you have to keep in mind, like pastry chefs are a whole nother thing than chefs.
Sure.
Oh, there was
Either
one guy.
or worse, chefs and pastry chefs, don't get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
But
there was
they
one
are
guy
very
on there.
Distinct.
There was one guy on there that was so amazingly confident that he had picked the right dessert. And that team was the only one to pick the wrong dessert.
Oh, no.
But they get 2 rounds. So the next round came around, and he was absolutely confident he got it right that time. And he got it completely wrong again.
Oh, wow.
Yikes.
So
That sucks.
all right. I'm not going to make you guys talk I Am Seeing Kitchen, but I have to say that I'm 4 episodes into it now, and I'm really enjoying it. It is there are desserts out there I had never heard of.
Wow.
A
I have a hard time believing that, Dan.
a croquembouche,
Yeah.
which is basically a bunch of cream puffs stacked together and held together by caramel. It's a stack of cream puffs.
Yeah. And they stick together. It's like the bouche part it's a tree made out of cream puffs.
Yeah.
Like the kind of like the Christmas log thing. I forget what those are called, but
That's remoulade.
no, that's not it.
I think I'm on the wrong show. I was told this was about Loki, and I guess I'll just go in this.
I was going to say, what could be better than to talk to a show about the God of Mischief where we never talk about it?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. That is our trick.
And like half hour into the show, we'll finally admit we didn't see this week's episode.
I mean, if I had known we were going this direction, I would have studied some videos on baking and cooking for this thing. I feel underprepared. Is this some kind of ambush journalism?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Son of a monkey.
What is the secret ingredient in a Black Forest cake?
Rum?
Cherry liqueur.
Son of a monkey.
Again, though, no one knows what a Black Forest cake is, Dan. What you're talking about is a Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte.
Okay, we're just going to go ahead and put Paul on mute. There we go. Okay, you're back. All right, let's go ahead. We actually have some people watching. We should probably talk Loki.
Oh, goodness.
Hello, people.
Though people were hitting the like button, so perhaps we should do a chef night one night or a baking night.
Well, we'll talk about Long Kiss Goodnight, Samuel L. Jackson's favorite movie that he's ever done. And we'll talk about that because they have the whole chefs do that, where Gina Davis is chopping things up.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll do that around Christmas time.
All right.
I'll be there for that.
Oh, we could do a Christmas special. I like that idea. Okay. Loki. What were just an overall, what did you guys think of the second episode? Because what I had heard, they had released the 2 episodes to a lot of the reviewers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just about all of them said, we love the show. The second episode is better than the first. And I think that's because there's less not a lot less, but less exposition in the second episode than in the first episode. But what did you guys, just your overall feeling about the second episode? We'll start with our guest, Andrew.
I loved it. I I'm fascinated by seeing other people who had said they thought it moved too slowly for their taste, and I'm like, did we watch the same episode? Because for a second episode, they dropped into gear and never really stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially like how they ended it. I know I'm jumping a little ahead with it, but the cliffhanger aspect of it was kind of nice to see this early on. They're really pushing for here's the mystery, here's part of a reveal, here's a new mystery, which keeps things going forward.
Yes. By the way, folks, we will be talking about the actual stuff that takes place in the second episode. So if you have not seen it yet, scurry, go watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't complain to us when the spoilers pop out.
Yes. So, Paul, how about you? What did you think of
I felt similarly. It's weird because, like, I think back over the episode, and I do remember the little, like, there were some stuff in a library. But boy, to me, it was clicking right along. Like Andrew was saying, I was impressed by how much the pace picked up. It really is especially when you're dealing with a time travel setup. There's so much information you have to lay out. So it's not surprising that and they managed to do that pretty solidly in the first episode. And I can't complain. The second episode hit the ground and you like everything you kind of would like. You would get it, and then they wouldn't spend a lot of time like arguing about it, or the argument had enough pop to it. Like the couple of Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston arguments had enough pop to them that they don't feel like it was exposition. It was It was two characters with different objectives arguing, which is conflict. Yes. Conflict is apparently something people like to see.
And the murder of a salad.
I was somehow expecting him to set it on fire. I don't know why.
That would seem like fire would be involved when it comes to Loki.
Yeah, but I don't think he could actually use his magic at the TVA. So
not in the TVA.
Yeah,
but, I was very happy with the pace.
I was as well, but I think the problem is that when you look at Marvel, it's a very big tent. We've got so much diversity at Marvel. Everything from Guardians of the Galaxy to Iron Man to Thor, the original Thor. I mean, you've got all these different different genres in a lot of ways. I mean, this is a heist movie. That's a sci-fi. That's a war movie.
Yeah.
That there are going to be people who, I think the number of people that like everything is not infinite. It's not everybody. There's going to be people who like different aspects of it better than others. Yeah.
Some people might be expecting this to be Avengers.
Right. Or Ragnarok.
Really. Yeah. And it's not that. It's just.
Yeah. I mean, there could be a lot of people who got on board with Thor Ragnarok and now they're expecting it to be that laugh a minute total improv thing. And
it's my friend from work.
Yes. There is a lot of humor in this.
Yeah, but it's appropriately for Loki, it's more subtle.
And I will do this a slight rant just over to Thor Ragnarok. The betterness of what works better for Loki is the fact of it's the characters being humorous or funny in the situation. The thing I disliked a lot about Ragnarok, even though I liked the movie, was everybody had to be funny. Every character was wacky or had wacky moments, and I'm like, no. And so I think it works out better with what they're doing with Loki, where while he's the primary, he bounces off really well with Owen Wilson.
Yeah. I've been pretty straightforward about my feelings on Ragnarok. I love it as a movie. I don't like it as much as a Thor movie.
Yes.
And yet, which Thor movie did you like the best?
The first one.
It still but it still goes like Thor, Ragnarok, Dark World, right? No? Okay.
I don't know. I need to rewatch Dark World. I don't hate Dark World as much as a lot of people do.
I don't hate it at all, but
Yeah.
I thought it would.
It's the weakest.
Yeah.
We got a question that kind of confuses me. Will Loki get his own show?
I mean, besides this one,
This is his own. I mean, he does have his own show, and the odds are he will. I believe he's going to get a second season of it too.
yeah. So,
Or does it become
what are
Witch
we not
Loki?
picking up on?
Witch Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Lokis,
do you mean like
yeah.
Lady Loki or and Lady Loki? That's something we need to talk about because everybody is jumping in calling her Lady Loki. She may not be Lady Loki.
No. Nope.
She could be the Enchantress.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, the Enchantress might be Lady Loki.
Well,
But go ahead.
there is evidence that she's actually Sylvie Lushton, who is the Enchantress that was created by Loki.
Oh, so she's a Enchantress, not the Enchantress.
Not Amora,
Not
but
Amora.
the human who became, or it might be a combination of all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the point at which I like seeing them as in Marvel using comic knowledge as weaponized comic knowledge against the audience.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, against the portion of the audience who certainly they know what's going on.
Yeah. Yes, because it's Mephisto.
Don't get me started.
Okay, let's address this. Thenuan, maybe you don't know this. There is currently a Loki TV series on Disney Plus. That's what we're talking about. It's 2 episodes in. So if you don't have Disney Plus or you're in an area that you don't get it, there is currently a Loki television series starring Tom Hiddleston. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Now, for those who didn't pick up on the clues or whatever it is, in the credits, Sophia Di Martino, who played the female variant that Loki confronts, is listed as the variant in most languages, but in some languages she's listed as Sylvie.
Right.
And then on IMDb, which is never to be taken as fact
Gospel.
as gospel.
IMDb is sacrosanct.
But months ago, there is a young actress who is credited on there as being young Sylvie. And we're talking like 4 or 5 months ago, to the point where if this was just something somebody was trying to add to a theory, they wouldn't have done it that many months ago. So, and also there is a file we see on this variant, and it says, I think it's in the closing credits, that says Sylvie Laufey Dotter, Dottir. So they are going with the Sylvie name for her. Will she be just a variation of Loki? Will she be a version of the Enchantress? It would make sense that she's the Enchantress because the possession power that she was using is something the Enchantress has and Loki doesn't normally have, even though the variant Lokis do seem to have some different powers.
Which Mobius actually mentioned that.
Yes.
You know, that they have a variety of different powers. These are the standard ones.
Yes. So, yeah, I wouldn't dub her Lady Loki yet. Because and even she says when he tries to call her Loki, she says, "Don't call me that. Call me Randy." You know.
So
I think she went to Andrew's school.
The variant in this show.
Smoke bomb.
I think Andrew has now been the wins the award for trying to disappear off screen during the show. I think you've got everybody beat.
Yes, by far. Yeah. So what did you guys think of Miss DiMartino and her appearance at the end of the episode? I know we're kind of jumping to the back of the episode first, but Paul?
I was not surprised to see her there. But it's funny though, the blonde hair threw me. Which like, oh, she's a shapeshifter, and yet I was like, or they're a shapeshifter, or however you want to. And it threw me off. I'm like, wait, why not dark hair? But yeah, I think that adds to the mystery. Keeps us on our toes, even our broken ones. But yeah, I thought she was suitably sinister, and boy, I did really like the B-15 when she was playing Lady Loki. I'll throw in the air quotes, and also Randy. I thought those two actors did a fine job chewing scenery like a Loki.
Yeah.
And as did Lady Loki. So yeah, I was very happy, and I did like the fact that when the reveal happened, I was expecting old Loki, and it turned out to be Lady Loki.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
See, I was expecting her.
How the helmet horns would be.
Now, see, to me, it looked like a female the whole time. So I was expecting her.
Yeah.
Did it not to you, Andrew? Did it?
I don't think I pushed it that far. From the beginning, I was, before the even show was aired, I was hoping that something like that would happen. When they did the reveal at the end of the episode of we're looking for another Loki variant, I was like, oh, please don't let it be, Hiddleston v. Hiddleston. I really just, there's too much open with his character history to not bring it in. So I like the fact that they did the Lady Loki. And I also liked the way she played it, because there's definite anger or having been wronged that this is something that she's doing as almost revenge, it seems to me, of events we don't know about. But and the disdain she has for Hiddleston Loki is lovely to watch.
Yeah. So Hiddleston v. Hiddleston, they could talk about the ship of Theseus.
Oh, I was a little disappointed that the guy in the hood didn't turn out to be Vision Loki.
Yeah. Well, all white Loki.
Yeah. You can't get much whiter than Tom Hiddleston.
I'm still leaning towards her not being a Loki.
I don't argue. I'm not going to argue that. I think that there's a good chance. And although, like you say, she could be someone Loki imbued.
Yeah. And the reason is because there's still, I mean, the whole thing is we're looking for. Why do we have an echo?
I don't know.
That's new.
Yeah. Anything change on your end, Paul?
Not at all, but I'm going to turn down my. I got to even have echo cancellation on. So,
okay.
But I'm going to turn down my mic a little bit and see if that helps.
Okay. Nope, I don't hear the echo now.
Interesting.
It was Paul.
It was not me.
It was Paul all along?
Yes, it was Paul all along.
More throwbacks.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a variant, but nobody said that this is the variant.
True.
And there was two big actors that we've been waiting for. Mm-hmm. And Paul, I'm going to mute you for a second. There's two big actors we've been waiting for. And Sophia DiMartino and Richard E. Grant. Well,
which I had no idea.
So there's nothing to say that the variant we're looking for isn't Richard E. Grant, an older version of Loki.
That seems like
where this could be his henchman that he created and is let loose to damage the timeline. Because also the thing about basically she's not going after the timekeepers this is not a plan that I think Loki would come up with. This is more of a plan that feels like somebody got hurt and they're trying to take revenge, or this isn't a mischievous plan.
No, she very much went through, and it's like, because I was assuming that it was somehow just when they activated the devices that it was going to take out that timeline and try and kill them, and it's like, no, they're zapping them out to other. It's like, oh, you're blowing up the whole timeline.
Yes. By the way, Paul, you're off mute.
Yes, I'm just taking a little check to see if there's something that I can, to see if it was me. I don't know why it would be, but.
Well, it stopped echoing when I muted you.
But it's not echoing now.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah. So continue.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I like I said, I don't know for sure. I don't know where the show's going, but that's what my gut says, is that this isn't a Loki. If they wanted, all the variants we saw all had dark hair. So like Paul said, he expected dark hair, and we got a blonde. We got a blonde. We got female, and the name Sylvie. Those all things combined just makes me think, if it's not just that's not a Loki variant.
I concur.
Yeah. Again, I could be completely wrong, but then again, I did an hour episode of the damn Wickline show on time travel, so I'm willing to put my neck out there. And by the way, nothing in episode 2 cancels my theory. My theory is still intact.
But are you really putting your neck out there, or is it just a Dan variant?
Oh, good question. Paul asking the tough questions.
Yeah, that's his job. All right. So what did you guys think of the hiding place? The idea of hiding in the apocalypses.
I thought that was lovely.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very nice turn, and did also a great job of showing Loki trying to think past what he normally does. The whole thing of here's doing research, which is like the most boring thing. It's, his version of hell, kind of. It would be that library, and actually finding something with it.
Yeah.
I think that worked out well, and it also makes it very interesting, from the writer perspective, because that means that they can keep jumping to whatever apocalypses they want to for the next 4 or 5 episodes.
Right.
Yep.
And if only for the fact that it allowed us to go to Pompeii and have Hiddleston just, go full
Loki.
Full Latin.
Yeah. Where he's just like, hey, nothing matters, letting the goats loose and telling everybody they're gonna die, and meanwhile, of course, you've got Owen Wilson in the background. Dude, no. And I gotta quit trying to do my Owen Wilson impersonation, because it's just a bad impersonation of Seth Meyers doing it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I thought the scene where he figures it out, where he's reading the whole history of Ragnarok and all of his people, or all the Asgardians that died, and you really see the emotion on his face.
Yeah.
And then he goes to explain the whole thing to Owen Wilson, and Mobius goes, "Yeah, sorry about that," and he was like, "Yeah, whatever." It's like he just shook that off like that.
But
because
sorry, it's funny. This kind of ties in a little bit to something. I obviously didn't see the show with episode 1 with you guys, but I think it ties up very interesting that Loki, being the god of mischief, is not because it was less that he kind of was given the title, and more than that's kind of part of who he is. So he can do his brain kind of pushes him off to do things that he doesn't even realize he's doing. And I think that kind of works with it. I mean, it's to me, it's it's the version of why he does the things. And he's like, do you like, when he asked in the first episode, do you like hurting people? Do you like this? I don't think he ever ever took a moment to contemplate that. And I think that's another aspect you're seeing where it's like, it did hurt him personally, but when he has an audience, he drops into whatever mode he is, and he doesn't even realize it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he's all defenses.
Yeah, and they're automatic defenses at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't stop and go, yeah, thanks, man, because he can't show weakness.
Right.
Yeah.
Something I noticed, and it's in kind of in the background of this scene and the jet ski scene, is just the level of effect that Loki is having on the TVA.
Mm-hmm.
When he first goes into the lunchroom, there's a sign up that says no talking. You're not supposed to talk in the lunchroom. And you'll notice that everybody in the lunchroom is sitting at a table by themselves.
Okay.
He comes in and disrupts everything and is talking and gets into a conversation with Mobius. Later, when they're researching everything and they end up in the lunchroom again and they talk about the jet skis and basically religion disguised as what you believe in the timekeepers. If you look behind the fact that they're talking in the lunchroom, again, where they're not supposed to be talking, but if you look behind them, there are tables now where they're paired up. So where everybody was by themselves the first time, suddenly people are pairing up and talking in the lunchroom.
Wow. I'm embarrassed to say I missed that.
Yeah, did not.
Yeah. So I think Loki, the bottom line is I think by the end of this series or season, because there is supposed to be a season 2, Loki is going to have a huge effect on the TVA, changing everything that they do there, including trying to beat up Miss Minutes.
Yeah. Well, you can't take chaos, drop it in the middle of order, and expect the order to go unchanged.
True.
And Loki is nothing if not a big humanoid ball of chaos.
True. There are 2 quotes from director Kate Herron that I found really fascinating this week. The first one has to do with the Lady Loki thing. When somebody said, should we refer to her as Lady Loki? She danced around it and basically said that'll make more sense in episode 3. So I wanted to bring that because from what we were saying before.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one fascinated me was a discussion about Miss Minutes. And at first she was talking about how they filmed the character. And what they do is they basically have a lamp on a set of luggage wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And they roll her around and move her around. And it's got cardboard eyes on the lamp. And that's Miss Minute. And the lamp is turned on because the character is a natural glowing hologram.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and at first it looked like Miss Minutes was created to help with all the exposition done in the first episode. Let's do a cartoon, and then we don't have to have 2 people sitting there talking about it. Yeah. We can do this cartoon to show the history. But according to Kate Herron, Miss Minutes is going to go through an actual character arc.
Okay.
So then you start connecting that with stuff like when you look at the Hunter's wrist badge or wrist device,
Mm-hmm.
there's one to call a time door, one to, different things. And there's a Miss Minute button. And then you look at the elevator with all the different buttons for the levels.
Yeah.
There is a button for Miss Minute. All right. So what the hell is this thing? What do you guys think? How is this thing going to have a character arc?
Well, she's alive.
Yeah.
But she's a program.
if there's any place that you're going to have a sentient hologram that looks like a 70s clock face interact with an actor, it's going to be Loki's show.
Yeah.
Or a commercial on WandaVision.
Yes.
Okay, that's too. But I mean, who knows? Because they've been very prevalent about, well, it's only 2 episodes, that in the credits, they are specifically crediting Tara Strong as Miss Minutes.
Yes.
Which maybe you can answer. Does it say voice, or does it just say Tara Strong as Miss Minutes?
As Miss Minutes.
Yeah.
So will we be getting a physical embodiment played by Tara Strong? In a show with variants, I think that's a likelihood.
Oh, and here's something else I can throw in that'll really shake you guys up a bit. Remember what Owen Wilson said in the elevator when Loki asked him how long he'd been there?
Yes.
That time doesn't really work the same here.
Yep. Miss Minutes, the clock face, is 16 hours on it, not 12.
Ah.
Okay, then.
It's divided into, it's got 16 lines on it, not 12.
Yeah. Well, you can't expect, you can't expect every world to go by the Earth clock.
This is true.
Yeah. Yet the entire TVA is filled with humans.
Or are they? Asgardians aren't humans, but they look like them.
True.
So
the only thing we've seen odd was somewhat one of the variants being brought in was it Skrull? Okay. Yeah. So which also brings me to a weird side issue of, more than anything, the look of the TVA is like, comes to me as 70s, like 70s tech, 70s levels, and hasn't moved forward from that. So I don't know if that's just a production design question or if that's something else going on, because it almost feels like they've abandoned, because every time they bring up the thing about the timekeepers, it's always kind of like, well, they're doing their thing. Oh, they're doing timekeeper stuff, and it's like, why does this feel like they dropped everything in the 1970s and then took off and haven't been back?
Yeah. And if the timekeepers exist outside of time, why did they pick the 70s?
Well, I'm reminded of something that a time traveler on another show once said when asked why you sound like you're from the North. Lots of places have a north.
Yes.
Well, maybe lots of planets or dimensions have a 70s. So
the director talked about the design for the show and said it was heavily influenced by things like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Brazil, and stuff like that. So
that initial maze where they have to go and take the ticket, that screams Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah,
like to the point of looking like the BBC adaptation.
Yeah, I think Douglas Adams would love this show.
If he was around, I think he'd be writing with it.
Yeah.
They would have begged him.
It would have been his show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you? You look at Dirk Gently, you look at Hitchhikers, and you look at his time on Doctor Who. We'll just get.
I think Aaron's doing a fantastic job with it.
Yes.
Yeah. He is.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and Michael Waldron. I mean, the idea of her hiding in the apocalypse is brilliant to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, I love it because you're right. It is something I haven't seen before. And it also, again, I love these turns that are both inside the show and outside the show. Because, again, how many fans come to the Marvel Universe like, wait, I can go see an alternate version of an event and not have any consequences? Oh yeah, I'm all in. I want to see that, apocalyptic, one of the 14 million ways we lost against Thanos. Come on, you got to have that world.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, do you think?
I try not to.
Okay. See if I can phrase this.
You didn't bring me on to do that.
I assumed you guys didn't see my thing on time travel.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
My idea is basically.
I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Yep.
How many times are you going to do the fade off camera, Andrew? I mean,
I don't know, because technically I've broken the rule of threes already.
yes, you have. Okay. My thought is that they're not really pruning the timeline. They're going in and they're removing the variant stuff and they're rewinding it or reversing it back to the sacred timeline and then moving it forward. Because I don't necessarily think the sacred timeline is a timeline that happened naturally. I think it's a timeline that the timekeepers have designed,
Yeah.
and they're forcing it into this path. And I think we see that the evidence of that is when they go to the Ren Fair and we watch the monitor when they put the devices out, and the line goes back to the sacred timeline. It doesn't get cut off. It doesn't get pruned. It reverses back to the sacred timeline.
Yeah. Although I think you could argue that's the energy spreading out and
Working
and
backwards.
it's a gradual process that wipes it back. You know, to be honest, they're erasing.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
there we go. You know, you dry erase board, you put the line, you push it, you know, you get it back. But yeah, pruning does make you think of like they chop it off and that limb is still there and they're actually erasing.
They have a poster in the TVA of somebody sitting in a tree chopping off the lines, and it says prune the, you know.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Pruning sounds a lot better than killing everything that came to pass. You know, just like retiring a replicant sounds better than killing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And especially because the hunters that go out, they are a very angry, adamant group of people.
True believers, yes.
Yeah.
But then you can't.
Nope.
What? You froze, Paul. What?
Oh, I said one might even say fanatical.
Yes.
Yes.
But the other thing is we learned that you can't go in before the Nexus event and fix it. You can only go in after into the standard flow of time. But you have to get in there before a certain amount of time, and then it becomes permanent. And so they can only rewind it for a certain amount.
Which makes me wonder, have they specified why there's that time piece, or what happens if you miss past that, besides the fact that it kind of locks it in?
Well, yeah, I mean, it locks it in, basically, but they don't really say in what way.
Yeah.
But
and the idea is that the timekeepers erased time, you know, erased a bunch of established multiversal timelines before. So it makes you wonder why
they can't do it again. Yeah.
They can't just,
Well, the broader question is, then why, if you are three individuals who have taken the multiverses, put them all together and made one sacred timeline, why do you need the TVA?
It's a question.
Yeah.
If you've got that much power, why do you need the TVA?
Yes. And yes, if you can create a system where the Infinity Stones are paperweights, you should be more powerful than that.
Yeah. Which I'd like to just jut back a second to that sequence in the first episode, since that to me was one of the reasons where I suddenly understood him. Like, yeah, you needed to bring Tom Hiddleston back for Loki because he was Loki. That whole sequence, especially that revelation, that was this is why you hired Tom Hiddleston, or more appropriately, this is why Tom Hiddleston went, I'll do this show. That was a huge change of character that you would not have seen, that no other way could have done that, and then played it out with him so that for these episodes, while he's still trying to play I'll figure a way out of this, I'll figure a way to be in charge, his entire worldview just went kunk, and he can't bring it back. And I really thought that was important to where the whole series should be going.
Yeah. And similar to that moment where he tries to use his magic to escape. And it's just like,
Yeah. Why was B-15 so surprised that Loki could use his magic once they left the TVA?
I don't know that. I think that there was some aspect of her was like, oh, we've got this guy under control, and she has her mission plan, and it's all laid out, and then he just does that simple, quick thing, and she's like, wait a second. I don't know if it's so much that she was surprised that he was able to do it, as she was just shocked that he deviated from her plan.
Well, the other thing that I kind of went with is, or as a possibility, is as someone who you've shown her as being very methodical, set up, tactical, what she's doing. What did Loki use his magic to do? To dry himself off, which probably something she would never even have comprehended.
Right.
Yeah.
And did he dry himself off, or did he made him look like he was dry?
Exactly.
Well, he said he would no longer squeak, so that makes me think.
Yeah.
I forgot that line. That was good.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm not going to be squeaking on the floor like all of you.
Yeah.
But I do love the fact that he's like, oh no, I took care of me.
Yeah.
I could have dried all of you. But this way, the variant will go after you, not me.
Yeah. I did. Oh, go ahead.
No, I've only because the variant thing came up in my brain. Perhaps either of you know, they've never explained exactly how this Loki variant is on the run doing all this, have they?
No.
Nope.
Especially because to know about the fact that the TVA exists, and especially to know about the devices. Sorry, I can't remember what they're called. They've had to have had interaction with the TVA. So did they escape? I mean, I find it fascinating that they've never brought it up, and Loki hasn't asked. How could there be a variant on the run?
True.
Yeah.
How did she get away the first time? Yeah.
Yeah. How did the variant avoid capture when they first went after him? When, our Loki, you would have expected to be able to do that if it was possible.
But our Loki was a little too arrogant.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. Which makes me wonder, see again, and now that leads me back to older Loki. And if
older, wiser Loki
didn't branch off until later in life, he would have been that much more devious.
Yeah. Much more Loki from the comics, much more evil Loki.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, like I said, that's the rumor of what Richard E. Grant's supposed to be playing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that would tie in with the idea that maybe he created, as you were saying, the Enchantress to
do the dirty work.
One more remove.
Yeah.
Loki's not one for getting his hands dirty anyway.
Yeah.
Not unless he has to. Yeah.
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 So it makes a lot of sense that she's not a Loki and that she's a creation of older Loki, and but we will see.
We will see.
Yeah. Jet skis. What the hell with jet skis? Do we honestly think that Mobius just happened upon jet skis, or do you guys buy into the theory at all that the TVA employees are actually variants who then get mind wiped and just become workers, and this is just something from his original life that is seeping through?
Well, that would answer the question of where do all these workers come from? Where do they go? And do they sleep? I mean, there's a lot going on in the TVA that I have questions on.
Yeah.
I thought you were setting up Cotton Eye Joe there.
Where do you come from? Where do you come from? Yeah. And that's enough because then copyright.
Exactly. But it would be interesting if they were. I had not heard that particular theory, but this idea that as Loki's like, so you think that the timekeepers just created you all?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, why not? Kind of thing. It's no crazier than, the all father of the sky
that was a great.
adopted the
Yeah.
son
Yeah.
of a frost giant. It actually reminded me. I am much less of a fan than I used to be, as in not much at all. But it reminded me in the movie Religulous, where Bill Maher was talking to somebody from, I think it was from Scientology, and discussing however, people go like, "Oh, that's ridiculous," and it's like, is it much more ridiculous than what you say? In other words, that
Yeah.
which Mobius basically said, if you step back far enough, everything sounds, you know, all the origin stories sound bizarre.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just they're familiar to us. So then we don't see that.
Every religion and myth, every religion and base myth have creation stories. They have destruction stories. They have mostly the same ones, and it's all man trying to come up with reasons for why things are that they can't explain. And they're never good stories. They're never logical stories.
No.
Yeah.
I have a question about the timekeepers as well. Is again one of those things that have been bugging me. Loki keeps referring to them as space lizards,
Yes.
and I'm like, why?
See,
And was he doing that before the Miss Minutes introduction?
No. It was after the Miss Minutes introduction.
And with the Miss Minutes introduction, were those lizardy looking people? I honestly,
A little bit.
they didn't look as lizardy to me, but I did notice that the statues in Renslayer's office had a kind of a pebbly texture,
scaly
kind of feel to them. So
they definitely like their iconography, don't they?
which makes me assume it's a scam.
Yeah.
By the way, if you look in one of the establishing shots of the cathedral or whatever it is they call the area of the TVA, and they have those giant statues of the three of them, below it there's a statue of Miss Minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
I believe they refer to it as the promenade, very DS9 B5.
Yes. He says, I'm not even going to take you on a walk on the promenade.
Yeah. Everybody, promenade. Wait, no, that's square dancing.
No.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see Dr. Doom flick through at some point on his time platform.
So, well, my theory is that the timekeepers don't exist. That the sacred timeline is a creation of Kang, and he's trying to use his connection to Ravonna Renslayer to create and the TVA to create the sacred timeline that ends up giving him all the power. That's what I see.
Did you think it was weird though that Mobius is insistent that he does not know where the timekeeper is?
Right.
But C20, I think it was, that
Yep.
She said she told him how to find them.
Yep.
She said something about where they were.
Yeah.
But so that just struck me as weird.
Yeah.
That somebody who, unless C20 is more than what I thought she was. Because I don't think.
Well, she used to hang out with Hellboy.
Which one?
David Harbour. She was the actress with it.
Yeah, now that you say it, that's what I was like, okay, now I remember.
Hey,
by the way, this also
David
brings up the other question of, she says, it's real. That's another big, like, what are you referring to? What's real?
I'm guessing the multiverse.
Yeah.
Is what? Because they think there's the one timeline.
And maybe that's what the whole point of the pruning is that it cuts off connection to the multiverse.
Could be, or connections to anybody that might affect that timeline
Yeah.
from other multiverses.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it may be that the branches run more chance of bumping up against another timeline. And that's like there are already there's a multiverse out there, but when they have branches they can bump into other timelines,
Yeah.
which then makes people aware of themselves, and that
Yeah.
supposedly how the original timeline war, multiversal war started. So,
Yeah. Well, my whole time travel theory for the MCU is a little convoluted, but it comes down to the fact that there's some basic mistakes or not contradictions in what we've seen in the MCU so far. We have the Hulk explaining it that you can't go back and change your own past, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we've got the Ancient One saying if you remove an Infinity Stone from the timeline, it creates a variant universe. Right?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Well, if that's true, if the fact you can't go back and change your own past, and the Avengers went back in the past to get the stones, then they wouldn't be able to go back in the past and put them back if you can't go back into your own past.
Theoretically, yeah.
So how would Captain America put them back? And if so, how did, and if time isn't linear and it's the flat circle that we've all come to believe it is, thank you, Matthew McConaughey, then why is it you can't go back into your own past, but you can go back into your future?
How do you go to I hate to say it this way, but how do you go back to the future?
Well, they went to the past and got the stones, then they returned to their original time.
All you have
But
to
if
do
everything is happening at the same time, if everything has happened and it's from outside, you see the entire timeline because it's always happening. How do you travel to one part in the timeline but not be able to travel to another part?
It's not that you can't travel, and it's not that it's the past can't be changed. It's that if you do, you have to be careful not to change it, because that way lies a multiverse of madness.
That's not how it's explained in Avengers Infinity War. It's explained that if you go back in the past and make changes, it will not affect you.
Right.
It will not. You cannot change your past.
So,
right. And you
sorry.
don't. I was going to say, but like, for example, Captain America goes back, gets I know he didn't, but apparently at some time he did, goes back, gets Tesseract. Goes and then they fix things, and then he drops it back. The idea is that it's gone for so long that it doesn't actually change his past.
Okay,
but they're not removing it, because everything from there is his future. In his future, he goes to the past and swaps it out, and then in his future, he takes it back to the past and swaps it out. But if you change something, like, I don't know, stay in the past and marry your girlfriend,
and bring back a shield that doesn't match your other one.
Right.
That's
I've got even better ones. Those are the big ones. But think about, they go back to the Avengers Tower and the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He tells that Captain America Bucky's still alive. You're telling me that the 2022 Captain America, when finding out that Bucky is still alive, isn't scouring the country or the globe looking for his best friend? 2012, yeah.
Yeah.
So, he believes he's he believes he's fighting Loki.
Okay.
So Loki's going to lie to him.
Jasper Sitwell is in an elevator with a bunch of people, and Captain America says, "Hail Hydra."
Okay.
I see, and that's the thing. I don't expect consistency because it's time travel, and it just doesn't work.
Okay, but see,
Yeah.
my theory makes it work. But the other one is they go back to the 70s. Somebody calls Hank Pym, tells him there's something in the loading dock for you. He runs to it, finds there's nothing there. No one knows what's being talked about. Comes back and discovers there's Pym particles missing. And you know Hank Pym knows the exact amount of Pym particles he has. Now he thinks somebody is stealing from him, and he's going to leave S.H.I.E.L.D. before. See, these are all the changes they did. Even if they put those items, the stones back, they made all these changes. But and then the bottom line is that if the TVA's job is to get rid of all the variants, what I think happened is that they have a narrative that they're building for this sacred timeline, and they want this narrative to continue. Part of the narrative is you can't go back and change your past, because that keeps smart people from going back and changing their past. Less to clean up. But they needed the stones to appear in the timeline to keep it going. And where they could have just taken some out of Casey's drawer and dropped them in, and they would start working again once they're back in a timeline, when they couldn't let that be the narrative because it wouldn't make sense, and all these smart people. So they needed to allow the Avengers to do the time travel. So they just happened to have a little rat press the right button to bring Scott Lang back. And then when Tony Stark decides he's going to play with time travel, he's going to come up with the exact shape needed on the first try. That just happens to be a reverse Mobius strip.
Mobius?
How do you do a reverse Mobius strip?
My question exactly.
Yes, but it's what he said.
When you start on the other side.
It's a one-sided object.
What he said. Okay. So I think that each time they went back, they created a variant timeline, and then the TVA just went clean, 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 clean.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went back to replace the stones, part of the narrative, even though it didn't need to be done. Clean, 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 clean. Mm-hmm. And then when Cap decides to live his life in the with Peggy, either they allowed him to do that in the sacred timeline, or he created a variant. Well, they would get rid of any variant. If he did that, they would have gotten rid of the variant timeline. So I think everything that happened was approved by the timekeepers or whoever's behind the timekeepers.
I was going to say, did you just say they weren't there? They didn't exist?
Yeah. Basically, this is all Kang's plot.
Yeah. Although it's possible. The sad thing is, though, and I know that everybody had it was Kang all along, but Cap going back, and maybe Cap had always gone back and lived with Peggy, and we just didn't know that. We don't know that now, certainly, but and as for the Shield, I just figure, at some point he, went to T'Challa or something and said, "Hey, need another Shield."
No, at that point he'd go to T'Chaka.
Sure. Although he was there through 2023, so
yeah. So, but
it's one of those things. We don't have enough information to know how time works. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
is they certainly could have nipped it in the bud.
Yep. They allow to my theory is to make all of it work is they allowed the Avengers to play out the time travel thing so that it would fit the narrative to prevent these people, these geniuses who are part of the Avengers from going, wait a minute, and figuring out that there's somebody else out there.
That makes sense.
I see.
Yeah. So that was part of the theory that I came up with, and that was the show. But and also I talked about the fact that I think the TVA are multiple offices. So the reason this one's all filled with humans, because this is the group that deals with Earth. Anybody who becomes a variant through Earth shows up in this office.
Yeah, interesting. But at the end of the second episode, where everything goes kaplooey, when she starts dropping the time grenades or whatever you want, the
Time bombs,
list
I believe they call them.
the list that pops up of where the events get dropped, not
All
all
over
of them
the
are on
place.
Earth. Yeah,
Well, no,
there's
no,
one on
I'm not.
Vormir.
Well, right, and there might be a TVA that covers that area.
And they would all be in the same TVA. It might be the building that we're in
Mhm.
Right.
that deals with Earth, and the next building over might deal with, well, except there was the Skrull.
But if the Skrull became a variant while on Earth, he'd
fair
still go
enough.
to the Earth one.
Yep.
That's why I said on Earth. Just like an Asgardian who's on Earth, it went there.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So those are
we
the
would
theories
call a
I've got right now,
Midgardian.
because this show is all over the damn place.
Yeah.
So I try never to. I always admire when people try and come up with cohesive, coherent time travel rules, but ultimately they all kind of break down, and I just kind of go, okay.
Yeah. Well, I immediately threw out the Hulk and the Ancient Ones versions because they live in the timeline. So if you can't go back and change your past, how would he know? He's never time traveled. They're theories.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, didn't he technically he's changed his theory between that event, because he posited something different when dealing with the Ancient One. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it broke his original theory, but he was the one that came up with the no. This is how if you're doing it this way, this is how it works. Which, by the way, is the really smart human guy with his science versus Ancient One with magical knowledge. That's what? Okay. You were able to convince.
Well, as the Asgardians say, magic is just a science you don't understand yet.
I'm so glad we're past that. For the time that it happened. No. I understand why they did that in that period of the MCU, because people weren't ready for the magic, the whole magic stuff. I'm so glad we're past that.
Yeah.
I don't know that we are.
Yeah, that's right.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah. By the way, as crazy as my theories are, these aren't some of the craziest ones that are out there.
Oh, I don't doubt it. To quote Game of Thrones, the internet is dark and full of theories, and I am not looking at them, especially after WandaVision.
Yeah. Well, my favorite one is the pen that Owen Wilson, or that Mobius, has to use to sign something for Ravonna, and he looks down and he sees it's from Franklin Delano Roosevelt High School.
Mm-hmm.
All these people are trying to, what does that mean? Is that an Easter egg for something? And they were going pretty out there. Oh, well, that's a school in Tennessee where the Tennessee Valley Authority comes from. And that's the original TVA, was the Tennessee.
Wow.
But my favorite is the one that said that I guess a famous Marvel character went to Franklin D. Roosevelt High School in Brooklyn. Owen Reese, the Molecule Man, and that we're going to get the Molecule Man. Like, really?
Wow.
Yeah, I think it more likely that they were giving a nod to the Tennessee Valley Authority than that we're going to get the Molecule Man.
Yeah.
People don't understand that, for the most part, they're not going to blow a character as an Easter egg, or as a side note to, like, oh, it's the Loki show, but we're going to have the Molecule Man pop up real quick.
Yeah.
And then,
I think what it really comes down to is it's more of the question of what Mobius asks. Why do you get to keep all the cool stuff?
Yes.
maybe she's a space lizard.
Or maybe she's the one that's been. She could honestly just be the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Right.
I am not the
Right.
first Dread Pirate Roberts.
Or he could be dating the Dread Pirate King.
And so it also makes me wonder, since they obviously were partners, why did she get to move up and he didn't? Because he doesn't really seem like he's not doing well. And I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's just him or his position in general, but the other hunters, they do not respect him whatsoever.
No.
And that's not just
Mobius
one.
isn't a hunter, though.
Right, but the other,
And she used to be.
And the thing is, isn't Mobius a higher level? Like, they seem like they're beat cops to his detective.
Yeah. But
So
they don't. Yeah.
But they don't respect him, and not just Hunter 15. There's the one that in the first episode was like, "Hey, I know all the languages on this too, jerk."
U-92.
Yeah, U-92, and it's like, yeah, nobody seems to respect him, and I just don't know if that's the Office or Mobius specifically.
Right. And for people who are watching for Easter eggs, the super deep ones like the FDR school, those aren't going to be real serious Easter eggs.
Yeah.
The fact that when we see Judge Renslayer grab her time staff and we see her old helmet from when she was a keeper and her number is A23, that's an Easter egg because she first appeared in Avengers 23.
Oh, okay.
That's the kind of Easter eggs they're going to give.
Yeah.
They're not going to do super obscure, this character went to this high school. Yeah.
It's a thing where they will make reference to a character that is there or an event
Yes.
that is happening. They're not going to give the Easter egg to hint that something is there, which then also goes with the Grim Reaper's helmet in WandaVision. We had not seen anybody that could be the Grim Reaper. In other words, it was like a cute nod. It's not.
But there was a character we never saw.
Or did we?
The missing witness protection program guy. He could have been the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, that'll still piss me off because that's a gigantic. You very much specify that in episode 3 or 4.
Yeah,
and you just let that just hang. You just
that's
let that
the
go?
ultimate Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
Well, again, we lost an episode, so thank you, COVID.
Yeah.
I think that there definitely were things that they just didn't want to go like, oh yeah, and this was that guy there.
Yeah.
Because that would have been even more unsatisfying.
Now, Loki did get hit by the pandemic as well, but they hadn't filmed that much.
Yeah.
So what they really were able to do was to sit down and look at what they had and know where, we could probably do a little more here, or, and they looked at the first 2 episodes and the conversations between Tom and Owen Wilson, and they went, we need to let them go a little more, let them play even more because it's really working.
Yeah.
So that's more of what they did. They haven't really had to cut anything.
Right. But I meant in WandaVision, we lost an episode. So
right, and we lost the whole subplot in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So.
I don't even. The thing, it's worse than even a subplot. I think that blew even the main plot of that story greatly in Winter Soldier. I'm sorry, Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah, the whole Mama Danya thing still. It's like.
Yeah. The inconsistency of your bad guy team and bad guy leader, that was tough.
It was perfect. I will brook no dissent. I will prune your timeline, sir.
Of course, Paul. Please tell us more.
I am Doom. Rant rave.
I found the mute button this week.
Yes.
All right. So, what do you think is coming next? He follows her through the time door. Obviously, Owen Wilson's not going to be happy about that. But what do we see on the other side, Andrew?
Story-wise, I'm not 100% sure. I think this is definitely the Loki figuring out what side he is besides his side. I think that scene that they showed in the trailer involving the very small kind of hooded figure in the midst of the dark black background that people thought might be Black Widow is probably Sylvia Loki. I do find it also interesting because of everything that went on in that episode. Even Owen Wilson has no idea about what's going on. They don't know that they don't even know that the variant's there. They think it is, but they don't even know what it looks like. All they know is there's a door and Loki walked through it.
Mm-hmm.
I would, if I had my druthers, I would love to see that entire episode have nobody else from the TVA or anything in it. That it's just kind of Loki on his own and trying to figure out how he plays out in all of this.
Yeah.
I expect we'll run into. I understand your impulse, and I agree with it, but I expect we'll see at least a few scenes of them frantically trying to figure out where Loki went. They may not interact, but we'll see some more stuff, and I hope it'll give us more information on things. I hope that we are gonna see more. Maybe be introduced to the big variant, or at least a couple alternate versions. But yeah, I'd really like to find out just why Sylvie Loki question mark hates the name so much and hates the timeline so much and is just so, again, like we're saying, she's more angry than anything else. Yeah. And I hope we learn more about why she's so angry as opposed to either mischievous or seeking power.
Yeah,
because
I don't know.
She's like anarchy Loki.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things that's been brought up, I think, based off the comic issue about Sylvie, is the fact that she might know the fact that all of her powers are based on getting it from Loki as a joke or an experiment.
Yeah.
And so it's like, my life got turned upside down because you thought it would be funsies.
Yeah.
Which would, add to the reason of why she's upset, and maybe not know that she's dealing with another Loki variant, for lack of anything else. I'm trying to remember what the other aspect. Oh, I could be projecting this as the writer part of my brain, but when everyone's bailing off into those time doors, which looks like it's everybody, is that the idea that they were abandoning ship?
No, I think they were heading out to try to deal with all the stuff that she was doing.
Okay.
Yeah. And probably. Oh, sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
Which to me makes me think that she's covering for what she's really trying to do.
Yeah.
If she spreads the TVA out so thin, then she might be able to do something bigger without their notice.
Oh, and that would fit nice in with what happened with, I believe you said it was Hunter 20. She's going to make it to the TVA because the TVA is not protected.
Yeah.
Right. If they're all out trying to prune 100 timelines, then you have that problem of.
That's kind of your Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's to me is what I'm thinking. I'm guessing that some of the trailers we've seen, the two of them talking. You're right. But that people seem to think it was Black Widow because of the short blonde hair.
Oh, I would love if it was that. But it seems more likely.
And there's scenes of him in a post-apocalyptic world.
In fact, I believe it's a post-apocalyptic New York.
Yeah, because we see like destroyed Avenger Tower, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's where we go, and we find out that she's from that New York, or that we're maybe the old version of Loki won in that version, and that was the result because Thanos destroyed, or that Chitauri just destroyed everything, or I don't know. But I have a feeling that
extended. It would be the no blip snap.
Yeah.
It would be the snap happened, but the blip didn't. And then
right. So I think there's a chance that she comes from a much more devastated timeline, and what she's doing is trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but again, I think right. But if she has that kind of motivation, it leans towards again her not being Loki, because Loki doesn't seem like the type that would actually go out of his way to really help a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I'm really kind of certain that she is not a Loki, especially the reaction to the name. It seems to work the best. But hey, we've been suckered before.
Oh yeah.
But she is definitely wearing like a Loki outfit.
Yes.
Under her cloak, she's
wearing green, and oh wait, the Enchantress wears green too.
Yeah, funny that.
I like the outfit that she has on is very derivative of the Loki.
Oh yeah, and the headpiece she wears is straight out of Agent of Asgard, the Loki series, where he's young and he's got the one broken horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but again, even in all the comics, every variant of Loki has dark hair.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So, but yeah, I agree that she's probably. It sounds like she may be the maid Enchantress, but obviously with a very strong connection to Loki. Since
I just get the feeling that she's the henchman for the older Loki.
Yeah,
but, who may not know that that's a Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think we've still got a lot more surprises coming up. I mean, we're a third of the way through the series.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many episodes is it? 6?
Yeah, so we're only at the end of Act 1.
And what a great way to end that. That was such a. Like I said, I was so happy with that because again, they're moving very quickly while still. I think that's again the biggest problem when doing the kind of mystery or mystery box aspect. It's you need to reveal at the same time that you're moving, that you give the next one.
Yeah.
It has. Otherwise, it just kills the momentum.
I really admired the kind of like war of emotions that washed over Hiddleston, where it's like they're running and there was almost like that moment of, can I explain it to them in enough time that I can get through this, or are they? In other words, he hesitated just a little, and there was some great facial expressions before he just went like, "I'm going through," because they're even if he could convince them that he was doing it for them, they
wouldn't
might
believe
not
him.
Let him go. Yeah.
No, especially when Hunter 15. Hunter 15 can't. B-50, I'm sorry, couldn't remember what happened. What happened to Loki? I don't know. So it's and I think if I'm not mistaken, in that moment that you're saying where kind of the emotions go across him, he doesn't look back.
Right.
It's all just it's like dun 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 dun. Okay, this is what I got to do.
Yeah.
Now they do establish that there are video cameras in the store, so it is they could look at the footage and see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
but if they have the time, because the storm's coming, and if Sylvie Loki didn't do anything to it since she was in that area.
Yeah, she might have cut off the recording and just been watching the live feed.
Well, wait a second. They have the time theater where they can look at everything Loki did in his entire life. Mm-hmm. So shouldn't they be able just to go look at that?
It is weird because you would think that and there's the weirdness too of, the timeline is set, but we only seem to be able to look in the past because the timekeepers are at the end untangling things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it doesn't quite work with the idea of how that is.
Yeah, and they take the Loki from 2012 and they take him into a time room and they show him his future, or what would have been his future had he not. So,
yeah, it's awfully strange. Yeah.
Yep. So I would like whatever drugs they're taking to write this show. Those would be fun.
There's a great. Go ahead.
No, drugs. No, I'm just saying that's a writer's room that I would love to have seen. I know. I'm sorry. The whiteboards for that timeline.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I hope they took pictures of it and we'll post it afterwards.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah. This is why you go get a guy who worked on Rick and Morty to work on the show. And that's why you look at this show and you go, yeah, and you get to write Doctor Strange. And then when you're done with that, you're going to write the Star Wars movie for me. So,
But there was a series back in 80s, 90s called the Time War series. And it was very light books, like 200 page paper, 200, 250 page paperbacks in the days when, they sold them for like $2 each. Yeah. And, but they had some really solid by Simon Hawke, was his pen name. And,
not a pen
name. Huh?
I said, not a pen name.
No, not at all. But it had some very solid time mechanics to it. And it very much is kind of reminding me some of this stuff reminisces. And it was all about a multiversal, ended up with timeline war.
Interesting.
So anyway,
we're going to be wrapping this up in just a minute. But any last thoughts real quick? Anything that we didn't talk about that jumped out about the show? You guys big jet ski fans? Are we going to end up with, at some point, Owen Wilson has to end up on a jet ski in this series?
I honestly believe that at some point Owen Wilson will end up on a jet ski. Even if it's only like at the end when it's revealed, like you say, maybe it's revealed that they're all from different times and they get put back and, we see him on a jet ski or something. But
I kind of want to see them on the jet ski together. Yeah. It just seems like they should be on it together. Like maybe they're chasing somebody and they have to, the only way to get after them is on the jet ski and they both hang on it together. That seems very 48 hours type of thing to me. That because the cop thing that they seem to have going on.
It would be, we'll see.
Yeah.
Not Wilson, we'll see.
Right. All right. Mr. Storrie, where can folks find you again?
You can find me at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Storyville, STORRIEVILLE, or at storyville.com. And for those of you who are comics professionals, we still have a few days to nominate stuff for the Ringo Awards. So, get out there and vote for your favorite stuff that your compatriots have done. You can include me or the people I worked with if you so choose. And end of plug.
Okay. And of course, remember, this is Eisner nominated writer Paul Storrie.
Yes. Well, part of an Eisner nominated team. I was not nominated as a writer. But yes, John Carpenter presents Storm Kids, Stanley's Ghost. Got nominated for the Eisner for Best Single Issue or Story.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm still stunned and very humbled.
Mr. Andrew Randy.
Yep, I'm at Action Figure Times, www.aftimes.com, and Twitter, Randy of AF Times, where I kind of talk about toys, lots of times talk about movies, and sometimes just ramble on a bit about whatever comes to mind, because that's who I am. And in the shameless, make sure that it comes around to what I know, they just announced this week from Hasbro that there is a Mobius action figure coming, in case you needed to have an Owen Wilson action figure.
Nice. Nice.
And Dan, where can we find you?
Yes, Dan. Where can we
Well,
find you?
usually I'm right here in this chair.
Everly.
Yeah, I broadcast many days a week now, besides Pop Go the Writer, which also gets rebroadcast on the Comic Shopping Experience. You can catch it on the YouTube videos. I also do the Dan Wickline Show 3 days a week over there now at 2 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern. On Thursdays, it's 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And also, I do a show called In Stores This Week, which we air Tuesday nights, where at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and myself and Kyle Northrup go over all the new books shipping. Well, a lot of the new books shipping into stores the next day. So give you an idea of what you guys should be looking for and what to keep an eye out for. So you guys can catch me over there. You can catch me here. I got some other stuff coming up here on the YouTube channel. I've got a second Psychology of Villainy video coming out pretty quick. I just have to edit it together. It's already recorded. So hopefully I'll have that out in the next week or so. And I should have something new to talk about writing-wise soon too, but I'll get back to you on that. So thank you, everybody, for watching and for the likes and subscriptions and stuff. Hope you all have a wonderful day. A happy Father's Day to all of you who are fathers. And, my heart goes out to everybody who has already had their fathers leave us. I know, that pain never goes away, but hopefully, as Joe Biden says, someday a smile will appear on your face, on your lips, before a tear in your eye when it comes to those memories. So thank you all. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.